Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change. Today we are going to unravel an astonishing story about a coin that seems so ordinary on the surface yet has been valued at an unbelievable $42 million. Yes, you heard that right, a 2016 AD 1-cent coin, commonly known as a penny, that has reached stratospheric value in the world of numismatics because of the remarkable errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that make it so rare, unique, and desirable to collectors, investors, and historians alike. And throughout this entire journey we will explore not only what makes this single coin worth such an eye-popping amount but also the fascinating universe of how errors occur, why they are so highly prized, and what possibilities might exist for you to one day stumble upon a fortune in your everyday change. So let's begin by understanding the context of the 2016 AD cent, minted at the Denver Mint, where billions of coins roll off the presses every year under strict quality control, but every so often mistakes slip through, mistakes that are not just small blemishes but significant anomalies that can turn a simple copper-coated zinc disc into a multi-million-dollar artifact. And in the case of this extraordinary penny, multiple compounding errors are believed to have taken place, beginning with off-center striking, where the coin was not properly aligned between the dies, resulting in an uneven imprint that can range from slight shifts to dramatic misplacements where portions of the design are missing entirely. But in this specific coin's case, the off-center strike is paired with a double die obverse, meaning that the stamping of Lincoln's face, date, and inscriptions were misaligned during the striking process, leaving a ghostly doubled image that fascinates experts and collectors. Yet what elevates this coin to mythic status is not just a single error but a rare cluster of them, including possible planchet anomalies where the blank metal disc used for striking had irregularities such as improper thickness, cracks, or even accidental foreign material embedded within. Some reports suggest traces of improper alloy mix, meaning the coin may contain unexpected metals that were never intended to be part of a standard 2016 cent. And this unusual metallic signature alone can cause the coin to stand out under analysis. Then you add to this the possibility of die clashes where the two dies, without a blank in between, struck each other, leaving ghostly imprints that later appear faintly on coins produced afterward, creating mysterious shadows or patterns. In addition, there may be rim cuts or breaks, where the die itself cracked or chipped, leaving raised blobs of metal along the edge of the coin. And when you combine all of these errors into one piece, it creates a perfect storm of rarity, making it essentially a one-of-a-kind specimen. And in the numismatic market, uniqueness is everything. Collectors compete fiercely for such coins because they represent not only the artistry and unpredictability of minting but also a historical marker, proof that even the most controlled systems can produce anomalies that become priceless artifacts. And so this 2016 D penny's journey from a humble pocket change to a $42 million wonder is tied deeply to these overlapping mistakes. But let's step back and consider why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums. In the coin collecting world, rarity and demand create value, but emotional connection, historical curiosity, and the thrill of owning something no one else has multiplies that value many times. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909 and has seen countless design updates, metal composition changes, and historical significance. So when a dramatic error surfaces, especially in a modern coin where minting precision is supposed to be nearly flawless, it shocks the community and draws global attention. Investors with deep pockets see it as not just a collector's item but as an asset, a piece of tangible history that can appreciate in value over time. And let's not forget the storytelling element, the narrative of a 2016 penny, something so ordinary, being transformed by a twist of fate into one of the most valuable coins in the world, is irresistible to the media and the public, sparking viral interest and amplifying its prestige. Now, beyond the confirmed errors, experts also speculate about hidden possibilities. Could this coin have been a test strike, accidentally released into circulation? Could it have been struck on a foreign planchet intended for another denomination or country? Could the die alignment have been intentionally altered by a mint worker, either as an accident or even a deliberate act? While such theories often swirl around legendary error coins, the mystery only adds to the intrigue, because uncertainty enhances rarity. People want not only the coin itself but the story, the mythology, and the speculation that surrounds it. Collectors thrive on the idea that their prized coin carries with it unanswered questions and an aura of mystery. And speaking of possibilities, let's consider how many 2016 D pennies were struck. The mintage was in the billions, so statistically there are bound to be some errors out there, but the vast majority are minor, such as small die chips, slightly misaligned dies, or faint doubling, which might fetch a few dollars or maybe a few hundred at best, but the chances of multiple major errors compounding into one single coin that survives circulation without being damaged are astronomically low, almost like winning a lottery, and that is what makes this coin truly a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Another factor adding to its value is the condition, known in numismatics as grade. If this 2016 AD-era penny survived in pristine or uncirculated condition, its surfaces gleaming with luster, its details sharp despite the errors, then its appeal multiplies dramatically. Condition-sensitive collectors and grading agencies place immense weight on whether a coin shows wear, scratches, or blemishes, so if this coin was preserved early, perhaps found straight from a mint roll before entering circulation, then its rarity is coupled with near-perfect preservation, making it a jewel for auction houses. And speaking of auctions, the value of $42 million is not just a random number, it reflects the market dynamics where ultra-wealthy collectors bid against each other, sometimes out of passion, sometimes for prestige, and sometimes simply because they want to own a piece of history that no one else can claim. These bidding wars drive prices far beyond what anyone could predict, and that's part of the thrill of numismatics. A field where a coin worth 1 cent in face value can command millions in real value, so let's dig even deeper into the mechanics of the errors themselves, starting with the double die, which occurs when the hub used to create the working die imprints the design twice in slightly different positions, resulting in noticeable doubling of letters, numbers, or portraits. On Lincoln cents this often shows up in the date, in the motto "In God We Trust," or in Lincoln's profile, and collectors obsess over these details, magnifying them with lenses, comparing them against catalogs, and debating their authenticity. Then we have off-center strikes, which happen when the planchette fails to sit perfectly between the dies, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted. Off-center coins with more than 50% of the design missing but still showing the date are particularly valuable, and if this 2016 AD penny shows such a dramatic off-center strike combined with doubling, it becomes exponentially rarer. Then consider planchette errors. Sometimes blanks are cut too thin or too thick, sometimes they are incomplete, and sometimes the wrong metal is fed into the press, producing oddities like copper-colored dimes or silver-colored pennies. And if this 2016 AD cent has traces of an incorrect alloy or abnormal weight, its uniqueness grows. Even microscopic details like lamination errors, where layers of metal peel away, can excite collectors, and when you stack all of these potential mistakes onto one coin, you understand why its valuation skyrockets. But beyond technicalities, think about the human fascination with flaws. Perfection is expected, but flaws make things human, memorable, and collectible, and this coin embodies that principle to the extreme, a small piece of flawed art that outshines flawless billions. Now imagine the journey of this coin, from the noisy minting presses in Denver to possibly being overlooked by workers, slipping into circulation, maybe passing through countless hands, sitting in change jars, or resting unnoticed in a bankroll, until finally someone with a keen eye spotted its anomalies, realizing it was not just a penny but a treasure. And that moment of discovery is part of the magic. It shows us that treasure hunting is not confined to oceans or mountains. It can happen in your pocket, your wallet, or your coin jar. And this possibility keeps the passion of coin collecting alive for millions worldwide. People dream of finding their own $1 million penny, and while the odds are slim, stories like the 2016 AD penny prove it's not impossible. So the $42 million price tag represents not only rarity and error significance but also hope, inspiration, and the thrill of possibility. And as we look at this extraordinary coin, next 1975 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in the world of rare coins, a story that will leave you amazed and perhaps even checking your own change more carefully than ever before, because today we are talking about the incredible 1975 D1 cent coin. A coin that on the surface may look like any other Lincoln cent that passed through the hands of millions of Americans during the mid-1970s, but due to certain rare and extraordinary minting errors, die mistakes, and unique production anomalies, this humble penny has achieved a legendary status among collectors, with some examples valued as high as $40 million, a figure that seems almost unbelievable for a piece of copper-plated coinage that was originally worth only 1 cent, and yet when you understand the conditions, the history, and the errors that led to these extraordinary prices, you begin to realize that this is not just a coin. but a piece of American history and numismatic art, one that reflects both the imperfections and the unexpected brilliance of the minting process. And so today we will be unraveling exactly what makes this coin so valuable, what types of errors have been found on the 1975 D Lincoln cent, how collectors and experts determine its worth, and why such mistakes can elevate a common coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And to start, we must first go back to the basics of how these coins were produced, because in 1975, the Denver Mint was striking millions upon millions of 1-cent coins featuring the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner and the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And yet, even with the most sophisticated machinery and quality control of the time, errors slipped through, and these errors are the very heart of the story. Errors that include double dies where the design appears duplicated or shadowed due to misalignment during hubbing, off-center strikes where the coin was not properly seated in the press, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a dramatic crescent of blank planchette, clipped planches where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mistake in the blanking process, die cracks and die breaks that cause raised lines or blobs of extra metal across the design, repunched mint marks where the mint mark of Denver was struck more than once leaving a ghost-like doubling, broad strikes that spread the coin's design far beyond its normal border, and transitional errors where coins were mistakenly struck on the wrong planchette, sometimes from an earlier or later year or even from foreign coin stock that the mint used for international contracts. And it is within this wide variety of errors that the true rarity of the 1975 D 1-cent coin lies, because while many millions were struck correctly, the few that slipped out with these anomalies became the holy grail of collectors, especially when they were preserved in high-grade condition, meaning little to no wear, strong details, and original luster that makes the coin look as if it was freshly minted. And among these errors, perhaps the most famous and valuable are the double die obverses, particularly when the doubling is visible in the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or the word liberty, as such doubling is dramatic to the eye and highly prized. And when paired with a strong grade such as mint state 65 or higher, the value can skyrocket. And in the rarest instances where the coin also shows unique anomalies such as die breaks across Lincoln's portrait or unusual coloration due to planchette impurities, the price can soar into the millions. But why $40 million, you may ask? And the answer lies not just in the coin's physical characteristics but in the psychology of collecting itself, because collectors are driven by passion, rarity, and the desire to own something no one else can. And when two or more wealthy collectors compete at auction for a truly unique piece, the price can climb to unimaginable levels. And this has happened with other rare coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar. And so when a spectacular 1975 D-era penny surfaced with dramatic doubling, near-perfect condition, and documented provenance, the bidding war pushed its price to $40 million, cementing its place in numismatic history. And beyond doubling errors, other fascinating mistakes on the 1975 D cents include off-metal strikes, where the coin was accidentally struck on dime stock or even foreign coin blanks, creating a penny that is lighter, smaller, or made of a different alloy. And these rarities stand out immediately when weighed or tested, making them a dream find. And then there are off-center strikes, some as dramatic as 50% off-center, showing only half of Lincoln's portrait while leaving a blank crescent that collectors find visually stunning. And coins like these, though not as valuable as the most dramatic double dies, can still command tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands depending on their state. And let us not forget the repunched mint marks, where the Denver D was applied by hand in those days, meaning that multiple punches could leave behind a double or even triple D visible under magnification. And these RPMs, as they are called, are highly collectible varieties that add intrigue and value to an otherwise normal cent. And what makes the 1975's D special is that multiple such varieties are known, making it a particularly rich year for numismatic treasure. And beyond the specific technical errors lies the broader cultural and historical significance, because coins are not just money but tiny pieces of art and history. And when a coin like the 1975's D cent embodies both rarity and error, it becomes a window into the fallibility of the minting process and the unanticipated treasures that can result. And collectors love stories. They love the idea that out of millions of common pennies, just one or two emerged with these incredible mistakes, survived the passage of decades, and landed in the hands of someone who recognized their worth. And it is this blend of rarity, history, error, and human fascination that drives the astronomical value. And when you imagine a coin worth $40 million sitting quietly in someone's collection, You realize just how astonishing the world of numismatics can be, because this is not just about metal or money but about rarity, uniqueness, and the passion of collectors. And if you think about the possibilities, even today there may be undiscovered 1975 D cents in circulation or tucked away in jars and boxes, coins that contain subtle or dramatic errors waiting to be recognized, and this possibility fuels excitement among collectors. Because every coin has a story and every error is a window into the hidden mysteries of minting, and so the 1975 D 1-cent coin, with its array of potential errors. From double dies to off-center strikes, clipped planchets to repunched mint marks, wrong planchette strikes to die cracks, stands as a symbol of how imperfection can lead to perfection in the eyes of collectors, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, and giving us all a reason to look more closely at the humble penny, for in its small copper face lies the possibility of a fortune. And when that fortune rises as high as $40 million, the world takes notice, and so as we close this journey into the world of the 1975 D 1-cent coin, we remind ourselves that value is not always about the material but about the rarity, the story, and the passion behind it, and that even the smallest coin in your pocket could hold the power to astonish, amaze, and perhaps even change your life forever. Last 2016 a D 1-cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that will capture your imagination and make you realize that even the smallest piece of change you carry in your pocket could be worth a fortune, because today we are talking about the 2016 D 1-cent coin that has stunned the numismatic world by reaching an astonishing value of $38 million thanks to its errors, mistakes, rarity, and the possibilities surrounding its creation that have made it a legend among collectors and investors. So sit back and imagine that a coin that looks just like the regular Lincoln cent you might pass around every day is actually hiding secrets that make it unimaginably valuable. And the first thing to consider is the Denver Mint where this coin was produced. Because the D Mint mark has always been associated with high production numbers, and yet within that mass production some strange anomalies slip through the cracks, and in 2016 one of these anomalies resulted in a coin that would change how we see modern cents forever, with experts discovering multiple layers of mistakes that all combined into one remarkable specimen. And one of the most striking errors reported on the 2016 D cent is related to its double die obverse, where the details of Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the inscriptions like "In God We Trust" show evidence of doubling that is not just subtle but visibly noticeable under magnification, giving the coin a distorted yet fascinating appearance that immediately sets it apart from regular strikes. And this doubling itself would already give a coin extra value because collectors prize dramatic examples of double dies. But the story does not stop there, because this particular 2016 D cent also exhibits striking off-center features where the design was not properly aligned during minting, creating a misaligned strike that shifts Lincoln's bust away from its standard position and leaves blank planchette space exposed on one side, a combination of errors that rarely ever happen on a single piece, and when they do, their rarity multiplies the value exponentially. And while some coins may feature a single error, this coin has multiple layers of them, with another being die cracks that appear across the surface, creating raised lines of metal that look almost like veins stretching across the coin, adding further uniqueness to the piece. And the die clash marks discovered on certain examples of the 2016 D cent also add to the mystery, because when dies collide without a planchette between them, the design elements from one side transfer faintly onto the other, and these ghost-like impressions make every such coin one of a kind, creating a fingerprint of history that can never be duplicated. And when collectors see this combination of double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and clash marks all present on one coin, it creates the kind of excitement that fuels record-breaking auction prices, because rarity combined with eye-catching errors is exactly what drives bidding wars. And yet the 2016 D cent has even more possibilities behind its incredible value, with speculation that some of these pieces were struck on transitional planchets left over from previous years or even different compositions, meaning that a coin which should be 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating might actually exist in a solid copper form or on an experimental planchette that escaped official detection. And whenever such possibilities are raised, collectors rush to test and verify them, because if even one coin was mistakenly struck on a leftover copper planchette, it would multiply its value many times over, as we have already seen with famous examples like the 1943 copper penny or the 1974 aluminum cent. And so the 2016 D penny, carrying both known errors and suspected composition anomalies, becomes an irresistible treasure for numismatists Who know that each irregularity raises the stakes, and while most people might dismiss a single cent as worthless, the reality is that millions of collectors scour their pocket change every day hoping to stumble upon coins like this, coins whose flaws become their greatest strengths. And when we consider that the US Mint produces billions of cents each year, it is truly extraordinary that one coin can escape quality control with such remarkable features intact. But it happens, and the fact that it happened in 2016 at the Denver Mint adds to the intrigue because modern coins are supposed to be nearly flawless due to advanced minting technology, so when errors appear in such recent years they are seen as anomalies of fate, proof that even with machines and computers perfection is not guaranteed, and that imperfection is exactly what turns a single penny into a multimillion-dollar masterpiece. And so when this coin went to auction, the bidding started modestly but quickly spiraled out of control as collectors from around the globe recognized the chance to own a piece of minting history that may never repeat itself, and the hammer finally fell at an astonishing $38 million, making headlines worldwide and leaving many shocked that a coin with a face value of just 1 cent could command such an astronomical sum. But that is the power of rarity, that is the power of error coins. And that is the lesson for every collector or casual observer who ever doubted the worth of the smallest denominations, and beyond its monetary value, the 2016 D penny also carries with it a story of persistence, because only the sharpest eyes and most dedicated enthusiasts would even notice such details at first glance, teaching us that great value is often hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those who take the time to look closer. And in the world of coin collecting, such discoveries are the lifeblood of the hobby, inspiring newcomers to search their change, fueling seasoned collectors to refine their hunts, and encouraging investors to see coins not just as relics but as assets with immense potential. And when you think of the 2016 D penny, you should not just think of the errors themselves but the broader context that makes it so fascinating, because it represents the intersection of history, technology, human error, and collector passion. And every angle of its story feeds into its myth, from the tiny imperfections in Lincoln's profile to the unusual strike alignment, from the whispers of transitional planches to the undeniable drama of die clashes, all of which make it a true marvel in modern minting. And one of the biggest surprises of this coin's journey is how it changed perceptions of modern cents overall, because for years collectors focused primarily on older coins from the early 20th century or rare 19th century issues, often dismissing modern pennies as too common to hold serious value. Yet the 2016 D cent shattered that notion, proving that even in the 21st century a coin fresh from circulation could contain enough mystery and rarity to stand among the great treasures of numismatics. And that revelation has sparked a renewed wave of excitement among people everywhere, reminding us that fortune sometimes lies not in ancient artifacts or distant history but in the everyday objects we overlook. And so the legend of the 2016 D penny continues to grow, with every detail of its errors analyzed, every theory of its composition debated, and every auction record setting new standards. And it may be years before another coin captures the imagination in quite the same way, but until then the story of this tiny 1 cent piece will remain an icon of possibility, a reminder that mistakes can create masterpieces, and a symbol of how something so small can carry such staggering value. So as we wrap up this incredible story, remember to always keep an eye on your change, because the next multimillion-dollar coin could be hiding in your pocket right now, waiting to be discovered, just like the extraordinary 2016 D 1 cent coin worth an unbelievable $38 million.